It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We are live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Carl Coulage for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us as we talk sports. This is what we do. We're here to give you a good show for the next hour, hour and a half. Again, I can't thank the fans enough for liking, sharing, subscribing to the Sports Hit List brand. We kick off with football. I know Travis is happy with that. Now we're in full swing for football season, so why not start with the NFL? Mr. Box Office, welcome back, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You know, week 2, we just making it through the week. Hopefully nobody got injured today. You know, all these injuries going on.
We have the New York native, Florida resident himself, Mr. Ricardo Etienne. Ricardo, how you doing, sir?
Yo, doing good, man. Doing good. Hope y'all doing well too, fellas.
He was known as the MVP. He was known as, what was your other nickname?
Paul the Great.
Paul the Great, and now he's the football guy. So every now and then he has to update the nickname. The football guy. What's up, sir?
You know how it is. Big time players make big time plays. And it can only be one football guy, and that's me.
I mean, to me, it seemed like a downgrade. You went from MVP to Paul the Great. It seems like you downgrading out here, man. I'm just saying, like, are you past your prime? I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Are you Drew Breesing it out here, 40-year-old quarterbacks? I mean, just let me know.
The cookies. My wife,
you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like,
we got
a downgrade.
So we have a newcomer to the stage. We have Declan Frogman. Declan, thank you for joining us. Can I call you a protege of Greg Polius? Is that safe to say?
I guess you can.
You don't want that.
You gotta stop calling me Frogman, man. I said that for an easy pronunciation.
Yeah, I know. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Just so you guys know, I won't be changing my name like Ron Artest. I mean, Paul Lawson over there.
Said you met a world peace out here.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, gentlemen, let me start off by saying on Sunday we did the first ever kickoff show. So kudos to Travis for pitching that. It was a great success. Thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you to Errol Marks of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network for giving us the opportunity and the platform. So 12:30 kickoff. If you want to get more insight with the NFL for your Sunday and your fantasy picks and no predictions, join us. We had the opportunity to do our own pick'em here on the Sports Hit List, and I have the standings for those. And I just wanted to give a little bit of an incentive. So there will be a cash prize at the end of this. So for every win that you receive that you guess correctly, you get 1 point. So let me show the standings here. Let me do that screen share thing for everyone to see. And here are the standings. Can we see that? There we go. So we got Rick coming in first place with 11 points.
Hey.
Second place, we have Travis with 9 points. And tied for third, Paul the Great, or what he's going by the football guy, and Ray at 8 points. So those are our
third and you the football guy, huh?
So any comments after that, guys? Any comments after seeing the standings?
Hey, now that I know there's a cash prize on the line, I won't get any more television rating picks like the Jets.
I was gonna say you won't be picking the Jets anymore, huh?
I'm just saying, like, either come correct or don't come at all. It shouldn't matter. It's a cash prize, you know what I mean?
Rick, just keep in mind, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
It's how you finish, exactly.
So what are your thoughts being in the lead early on after week 2?
Hey, just like you said, man, it's only week 2, so it's good to start out hot, but, you know, I got to maintain, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. So today I wanted to start off with the injuries, but let me let the people know there was a big debate in the Sports Hit List football chat about, you know, should I talk about injuries? People telling me I don't watch enough football. I shouldn't talk about injuries. So should we talk about the injuries that they had? They had about 21 in week 2, or is it something that we could push past us because football sees a lot of injuries during the year? Box office.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the injuries, because injuries happen in football. I think the conversation needs to be more about the importance of the preseason and the off-season program. As we know, because of the pandemic going on, the off-season program was kind of cut, and that's how they kind of started the first 2 weeks of training camp implementing the off-season program, and then went into regular training camp. These guys have only been in pads for about, I don't even think a month yet, maybe a month now. But usually those preseason games are important because it gives you the ability to rev up, you know, start off slowly. You got to remember, like, they're still human, and they're going out here with these collisions, man. It's no joke. You got to give the body time to acclimate to that. And they just haven't had that time. And injuries happen. I mean, it's It's part of the game. It sucks to see a lot of the stars go down, especially this early in the season. But like football is, next man up, man.
All right. The football guy, what were your thoughts overall with week 2? Aside from your picks, what were your thoughts about the play?
I mean, it's always great. The NFL never disappoints. When you think about the product that we're able to see, especially in the early weeks of the season when there's no bye weeks, we get a chance to watch football in its full duration, right? I think there was 10 1 o'clock games. I mean, when you think about that product, but I did want to play a little bit devil's advocate for Mr. Cookie Man himself. While I do agree that not having contact throughout all of training camp might have had some sort of impact on injuries, preseason, star players don't play, right? So, for example, let's use Saquon Barkley, who was the biggest name who went down. He played a grand total of 11 snaps in the last year's preseason. 11 snaps. So you can think about that. How many times did he get hit, right? 6 of those plays was pass plays. He was a marginal blocker or a decoy. So there is a part of the game, like my man, the Mr. Commissioner Ray would say, that just says football is a dangerous sport and there will be injuries. I don't want to go out there on a limb and say no preseason is why we've seen these casualties, because if that's the case, we probably would have seen it week 1, not in week 2. Or what's
Not necessarily, though. But go ahead.
So that's my 2 cents on that. And have them slow is ready. Have them ready.
All right. Rick, what were your thoughts about week 2? Did you enjoy the games?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the games, and the injuries were definitely a big part of it. And I kind of, I don't, not to say I enjoyed the injuries, but I'm just saying that was a big part of week 2. And I agree with what both guys said. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, you need to kind of rev it up a little bit and get that training camp in full, you know, like off-season program in to be able to just get your body going and ready for this sport. Yes, I also agree. Maybe, you know, some of those guys probably wouldn't play the preseason anyway, and it would have been the same circumstance. There's been folks mention, I think it's Keyshawn said something about the cleats these kids are wearing these days. You know, there was complaints about the field at MetLife. So there's a lot of things that people are kind of pointing to try to make out what it is we saw on Sunday from an injury standpoint. Is just the fact that you've seen so many top guys. I mean, you're talking, you know what I mean, ACLs popping left and right. Your two star running backs in the league, starting quarterbacks. And we just now today, think about it, we're just now coming off of all of that. And today we're finding out about this Tyrod Taylor situation with the team doctor puncturing his lung. Like, I mean, it's just the things that went on medically in the NFL on Sunday were just ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. Declan, what are your thoughts overall about week 2?
I mean, crazy week. I mean, first off, if you want to go to the Tyrod Taylor thing, my sources are telling me that the Chargers team doctor this weekend was Dr. Mark Herbert, father of Justin.
Wait, hold on. Time out. You got sources on the first show?
Wait. New guy got sources?
Wait a minute. Wait.
He showed up late. He ain't show up with no donuts for the squad.
I couldn't let that slide.
He got sources.
I couldn't let that slide. He said I have sources. I couldn't let that slide, man. Your people. Tell them to contact me. I need some new sources too.
Right.
Yeah, those people aren't real. I just pretty much said that Justin Herbert's dad was the Chargers team doctor.
Fake news out here. Come on, new guy.
But go ahead, Declan. So overall thoughts about week 2?
Week 2 was really exciting. Injuries kind of put a damper on things, especially from a fantasy standpoint and a human standpoint. C-Mac went down. He's probably going to be out for, 4 to 6 weeks, they said?
4 to 6, yeah.
Which he said is going to be a challenge. The Saquon injury is brutal. And now we're starting to hear rumblings of the MetLife turf, which is kind of interesting because I don't want to use the word sources, but I have heard in the past that they use that cookie cutter, like there's like stick them in the ground. I forget the exact terminology, but it's artificial, like as it gets. So now it's hard too. So there's a lot of injuries there. I wouldn't expect Kittle to play next week for that reason. And obviously Jimmy G, they announced on Sunday that he was going to be out. Nick Mullins was going to start against the Giants, which I'm sure won't make any difference as a Giants fan. But week 2, I thought it was very exciting. I was impressed by Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield, the Thursday night game was really good. Both those guys really amped it up to a primetime level for 2 first overall picks. Baker coming off a bad year, and Joe Burrow coming off a pretty decent week. But overall, week 2 was pretty exciting. I wanted fantasy, so I'm pretty satisfied.
All right. Travis, any surprises with any teams that are 2-0 or 0-2 in your opinion?
I would have to give a surprise 2-0 team would be to the Cardinals, especially seeing how they played the San Francisco 49ers in that first game, and the 49ers were at 100%. So I would say that's a big surprise right there. I know a lot of people are on the Kyler Murray bandwagon, and they see him as that's taking that second-year leap to the MVP category. But I am surprised to see that they started off 2-0, especially more of that first game, getting one against the 49ers. My surprise 0-2 team, man, would have to be the Minnesota Vikings, man. I mean, what's going on in Minnesota? I think it's a lot of different issues. That defense is not what it was a few years ago. The secondary, they're struggling. That's a big they're doing a lot of rebuilding in that secondary. The safeties have always been on point, but those cornerbacks are out there not looking too good. And then the loss of Stephon Diggs seems to be big because Kirk Cousins, he's out there. Nobody else other than Thielen is making plays out there. I've seen a lot of drop balls going on between the other receivers, so therefore he's getting in situations where Captain Kirk is out there trying to push the ball and force it to Thielen. He's out there throwing in a wild double coverage, and then you already know Mike Zimmer, he's going to be upset because he don't want to pass the ball anyway. He just want to run and play defense. So it's a lot of different things going on in that locker room, but to see them fall 0-2 right out of the gate, that was shocking, especially from a Mike Zimmer team.
The football guy, do you have any surprise for teams that are 0-2 or 2-0? Can we hear you? We can't hear you.
Biggest surprise would be the Raiders. Coming in, we know we did the AFC West preview and we talked about how complex it could be to play in Vegas, my favorite home outside of home. Sorry you're not there, Rick. I know you were supposed to be. But listen, I mean, the Raiders on both sides of the football, offensively, they look really good. Derek Carr is actually starting to look like a top draft pick for the first time in years. He looks like that year one card at, I think, won 13 games. Josh Jacobs is a machine, but, I mean, the way they're running the offense through Darren Waller is just unstoppable. Biggest surprise 0-2 team for me would have to be the Eagles, man. I've been talking about how hot the seat is for Doug Peterson. You guys thought I was crazy, but
still do.
Marginal football team the last 3 years, right? Outside of winning the Super Bowl. And when you think about, they should have beat Washington. It was up 17-0 early, blew that game in a horrific fashion, and was completely dominated against what most thought was a weak Rams team, which now suddenly seems to be very, very powerful, with a bunch of no-name guys. The Eagles are my concern. I'm hearing rumblings of Jalen Hurts possibly getting some action as a full-time QB, despite Carson Wentz just cashing out on a $170 million contract. So the Eagles are the biggest shocker for me.
All right. Rick, any team surprised down 0-2 or 2-0? I know last week you predicted your team to win, and unfortunately they did not. So any surprises?
Yeah, I mean, as far as again, I'm a fan of the Dolphins, so I'm always going to ride with the Dolphins. It's the 0-2 there doesn't necessarily surprise me. Again, expectations are what they are in Miami, and as long as people, maintain that mindset, we have the plan in place. Like, let's not start getting ahead of ourselves and think we're more than we are and force our hand on anything. So I'm good with them. I agree with Paul as far as the most disappointing. As for the 0-2 start with the Eagles, I mean, that's a bad look. He mentioned it, should have beaten Washington. Didn't even look like they were competing against the Rams. Goddard's probably the only one who's looked any good in that offense. I mean, they got some issues there. My most surprising 2-0 team, I got to go with the Tennessee Titans, man. Like, we know what they was coming into the game with Derrick Henry. We know the kind of dog they got in that backfield. But it ain't just been him. It's been Ryan Tannehill out there really doing his thing. And even as a Dolphins fan, as long as he was in Miami, it always reigned true that when he was protected, he was productive. When he had a positive running game, he was productive. So, excuse me. So to see what he's able to do out there in Tennessee, he's at 70% completion percentage. You know, I don't think he's thrown an interception yet. Like, and he's thrown it to, you know, obviously the AJ Brown coming in, we expected him to have a huge leap year. He's not been 100% yet, so we haven't seen him out there. But Corey Davis is out there balling. He's got this tight end, Jonnu Smith, that I don't think many of us knew who he was prior to a couple of weeks ago. So I like what I'm seeing from Ryan Tannehill as he's leading that offense over there. And again, you know you're going to get at least maybe 2 or 3 250-plus yard games from Derrick Henry. We'll see that at some point. We'll get one of those 97-yard runs from him that wins a game. We'll see that too. So if Ryan Tannehill is able to win you a couple of games, even before Derrick Henry starts having to win you some games, Tennessee might be in a good position when we get down to the end of the season.
Declan, same question. Do you see any surprises start 2-0 or 0-2 in your opinion?
Yeah, I got a couple. I'd like to start with the Jets. Just kidding. I'm gonna go.
Started
I
early.
think that was for you, Greg.
I think that was a shot at Greg.
You know that's for
That's
Greg.
a sub at Greg. That's a sub
Yo,
at
you
Greg.
already know.
He's taking shots at Greg. I love this kid already, Greg. I love him.
Taking shots at his mentor, I guess. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go
He's
ahead.
saying he's in class. I just saw him in the comments section.
Oh, how do you shot like
Yo.
you just threw him under the bus? He's supposed to be in class.
All right, I don't think his professor's watching this.
You don't know.
Yo.
You never know.
I
You never
guess
know.
Yo, there's fans out there.
But go ahead, Declan. Any teams 2-0, 0-2?
My surprise 0-2 team right now would be the Atlanta Falcons. Although they have had a tough schedule, they look promising, especially yesterday against Rays Cowboys. Excuse me, it's Wednesday. Sunday against Rays Cowboys. I thought that was kind of a surprise to me, especially with Matt Ryan moving the ball like it's nobody's business. He had 450 in the first game and then had over 3 bills on Sunday. Todd Gurley having a little bit of a rejuvenance, hopefully. I like him this year, and the receiving core. Greg just mentioned me in a comment. I can't see it though. My phone's dead. Calvin Ridley's really starting to take over that offense. It's obviously Julio Jones' receiving core, but the 1-2 punch between them is pretty electric. So I was a little bit surprised to see them go 0-2, especially after they were up big on Dallas. My surprise 2-0 team, kind of a similar situation here. I thought that the Bears would have been my surprise, and then I realized, wait, they played the Lions and they played the Giants. So Trubisky has looked good, and I didn't think that they would be, although I did kind of expect them to be 2-0, I didn't think I didn't think that they would perform as well as they did. My surprise team would be the Rams. Everybody wrote them off after last year, after they had a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. Everyone was saying Jared Goff isn't the guy. They shouldn't have paid him. They were on Hard Knocks. It's an immediate disadvantage, although they've kind of shaped the rules to be more team-friendly and less viewer-friendly. But Jared Goff looked good. They beat Dallas. Push-off call, bad call, Jalen Ramsey if you want. It was a bad call, but still they did go in and beat Dallas in their home opener. And then they went into Philly, stormed in, and took over a team that is kind of hurting right now, but was still a playoff team just last year. So I was pretty impressed by the Rams. I didn't think that they would beat both Dallas and Philly, but they did, and here we are.
I know it's week 2, but surprisingly on my script, we want to talk about coaches on the hot seat. How do we have coaches on the hot seat after 2 weeks of football? Is that how, and I know people want to say, give them an opportunity, give them a chance. Same thing in sports. Are we pushing that narrative too early to have coaches on hot seats? Box office.
No, because it's the NFL. You only have 16 weeks. This ain't the NBA. We don't got 82 useless games, but it's the NFL. So therefore,
Yo, the shots are coming today.
Every game counts. You know what I mean? So therefore, the pressure is on from the start.
Carl's sick right now. His face,
You know what I mean? So therefore,
Yes, there it is.
especially when you're returning off seasons that you have underperformed. we already know Dan Quinn is on the hottest seat in the NFL, but take Matt Patricia, for example. Matt Patricia's won like 9 games since he's been there. They fired Jim Caldwell, who won 9 games his last year there. So to sit here and think like that you get this window, even though it's only through week 2, dude, the pressure's on. You got to turn this around real fast.
All right. Anybody else anything to add? I think pretty much Travis pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Yeah, just piggybacking. It comes down to ineptitude. You know what I mean? Like you can't when you've had a brief history or a recent history of falling short or being on the hot seat to a certain level or whatever the case is, you've got to come out looking like you've improved. And when you're looking at teams like the Falcons, teams like the Jets, borderline on the Lions, just because they've had a lot of goofy injury situations in their backfield specifically. But again, you can't come into a season looking as bad as you've looked in these first 2 weeks when you was already on the hot seat. So at that point, it's got to be like, bro, can you do this job? Like legit, can you do this job?
All right, football guy, anything to add to that?
I think you just got to look at it with a big lens. A lot of these guys that are on the hot seat have already been on hot seats, or the young ones have been there. But let's just use Dan Quinn as an example. He should have been fired the moment that the clock hit 0. The window of winning in the NFL is the slimmest window in all of the major sports. Why do I say that? See, in the NBA, you could have LeBron James for 6 years, which means you could be highly competitive for 6 years. You could have the Steph Curry project where he runs his rookie contract and then re-ups and does a 3 and a 1, right? So you got 7 years of superstar talent in place that you can build around. The NFL's window is 3 years maximum, right? The Patriots have been the only novelty to that. But when you look at what you see in Philadelphia, so you won a Super Bowl and you've been a 500 ball club while adding more talent. The same guy drafting these guys that haven't panned out is the guy on the hot seat. So at some point you say to yourself, if you're the owner, you might have to wait another 15 years to start that 3-year window if you're lucky. And that's unfortunately what teams like the Giants are going through, right? You think about the Eli Manning Super Bowls and what they've been since. Mark Sanchez with Rex Ryan, that was another 3-year window. And then we've seen where that's been since then. Carolina Panthers. Most teams have already began that turnover process. This is almost like the guy who runs Foot Locker, right? If you're not making the budget, they bring in another manager to come in and do the job. And the cycle just continues to go on and go on and go on. That's why you don't typically see tenure in the NFL at the coaching position.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got you.
Yeah. Greg Polius just said Paul always answers like he's a politician. That's what he said.
And who likes politicians? Nobody likes politicians.
Are you running for your local congressman there, Paul? Football guy? Is that what you're doing?
Given the way our city is right now, for anybody out there who's watching, football guy is your guy.
Oh, bro.
We have another cameo.
See, politicians just tell you what you want to hear, man. That's why I don't trust them.
Declan, if you had to give a game ball to an offensive and defensive player for week 2, who you got?
Game ball defense, James Bradbury was pretty good for the Giants. He got that crazy pick. I don't want to hear it. First of all, after this, I would like to give a quick pushback to what Paul just said. Not the politician part. That speaks for itself. But I would like to give a quick pushback to what he said before. But before that, James Bradbury was not voted. He was named PFF's Defensive Player of the Week in week 2. He had a great pick on Trubisky, and he added some tackles too. And now going back, offensive, I'll think about it. But going back to what, if you guys don't mind, what Paul said about Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, although they have started off bad, he's made the playoffs each of the last 3 years, including that Super Bowl year, 17, 18, and 19. So he won the Super Bowl in 2017 when Wentz went down. Then in 2018, Wentz went down again and Foles took them to the playoffs. Won them a game, Cody Parkey, but they won them a game anyway in Chicago. And then last year they went to the playoffs with I think they were pulling guys off the street to go play corner. They had practice squad receivers because that team was injured. And then, the icing on the cake was Wentz going down against the Seahawks in the wild card round. And 40-year-old Josh McCown, who's now making $12K a year living in Texas as the Eagles' emergency quarterback, went to battle for Doug Peterson. So I think the criticism of Doug Peterson is a little bit harsh. I understand he's got to do a better job. That team as a whole has to do a better job. But I just want to pump the brakes a little bit on the Doug Peterson plan.
That's the difference between me and you, Deck. Young guys like to hold on, moral victories, tenure. Here's what I'm going to tell you about Doug Peterson.
Hope springs eternal.
That was an Andy Reid Eagles team that ended up winning that Super Bowl, right? Let's call it for what it is. Let's call it for what it is. It was an Andy Reid football club. Doug Peterson has been marginal in the draft. This is why they are getting receivers off the street, right? This is exactly why they didn't have a backup plan. And you got a 45-year-old Josh McCown who can't even throw anymore, right? This is why they are in that position. He's also been a guy who's greenlit key moves outside of the organization. You let a guy like Malcolm Jenkins walk because you don't want to pay him. Well, he was the anchor of your defense. Michael Bennett was an anchor on a defensive line. You handed him to Bill Belichick. So when you start thinking about he made the playoffs, that also played a huge role in how many other teams just had bad years, like the Dallas Cowboys, right? And a weak division, right? You're talking about the Redskins and the Giants the last 7 years that have been abysmal, right? So the opportunity to win 9 games in the NFC East has been very, very easy. We're talking about an 8-8 ball club, a 9-7 ball club for Jeffrey Lurie, who's added a ton of money and value into the Eagles that expects to be a 12-win team pushing for the Lombardi Trophy. And that just hasn't happened. And this year, I guarantee you, if they don't make the playoffs, which I don't think they will, Doug Peterson will be like you in fantasy baseball, watching from the couch.
All right, guys.
Tag me in on that one.
How was
that an Andy Reid team?
It's an Andy Reid team, bro.
When Chip Kelly came in and dismantled everything Andy Reid did, dude.
Bro,
like
Chip Kelly, for all the black
he
things
literally shipped out everybody.
Listen,
Sean McCoy, Deshaun Jackson.
Chip Kelly shipped out a few high-voice individuals. LaShawn McCoy
shipped out the talent.
He didn't ship out all the talent. All right,
guys. Rapid fire here. Yo, just quick rapid fire here. Who are your offensive and defensive game balls going to? Travis?
I'm going to give it to Russell Wilson, man, out there, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns, another 39 yards on the ground.
And defensive fire. Rapid
fire. All right. Just so I can go faster.
That's a name in a name.
Defensive player, I'm going to give it to TJ Watt up in Pittsburgh, man. 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles, and a W.
All right, Rick.
You only got to get the
Rick,
W.
Who you got?
I'm co-signing Russell Wilson, 5 touchdowns, and it was 5 different receivers. That he's out there balling. Defense, I'm going with a team once again, specifically team defense and special teams. The Chiefs stopping the Chargers on a pretty solid-looking drive towards the end of that game to turn it around. And then, when you got a kicker that could go out and make 3 straight 58-yard field goals easily, you got to give him the game ball.
All right. Football guy, game balls, who you got?
Offensively, Darren Waller, for obvious reasons. Defensively, I'm going with the entire Indianapolis Colts defense. Held Mr. Kurt Big overpaid Cousins to 95 yards passing, no running game, completely dominated. 7 straight 3-and-outs. When you think about that, that's exactly why.
Come on, man.
I mean, we would have to. Come on.
I had to get reinforcements. Time out. Let me set the stage. Because Travis thought he was slick with his little NBA comment, so I had to call him reinforcements.
What kind of security we working over here at the door, man? What's going on?
Listen, I had to call reinforcements. You want to be slick with your little comment? Go ahead, Matt. Cook him.
I want to issue a challenge live here on the streaming service with Carl Coulon Sports Hit List. I want to challenge Travis from now until the end of the football season. We gonna do a pick'em. We going
NBA guy. That's what I'm talking about, Matt.
Okay.
I tagged you last week. I had a great week. Only 1 game wrong. only one game wrong. I does this. It's a sports science. I does this. So I want to challenge you. The loser, has to pronounce the other sport God of all sports in America.
Oh, wow.
You know what? I accept that challenge right there, sir.
There we go, my man.
You know you cut out for this shit.
My
Yo.
man.
I
man.
accept
So,
that challenge.
you know what?
We don't
Let's make
back
our
down
Thursday.
around
You know
here.
what? So let's make our Thursday picks right now. Travis, for the game on Thursday, Dolphins versus Jags. Who you got?
Let me get
I'm
my
gonna go to
list out.
Jags.
You're gonna go the Jags. Okay. Football guy. Who you got?
I'm going Gardner Minshew. Give me the Jags.
The Jags. Okay. Rick.
Yeah, on this one again, man, I was trying to ride the home crowd with Miami on this past Monday, but Sunday, sorry. But I gotta roll with the Jags, man. They're looking pretty good. Miami doesn't have it figured out yet. We're not ready.
Hey, Carl. You know what? Take that back. Give me Ryan Fitzpatrick. Give me the Dolphins. They're gonna prepare better. They're gonna beat the Jags.
Ooh,
Okay.
Look at this.
I
guy.
hope I'm wrong on this one.
Okay. So Rick, you got the Jags too, right?
Yeah. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I got the
And then Travis
Jags.
has the Jags, and then MVP has the Dolphins. Coach, who you got?
I got the Jags, man.
You got
I
the
got the
Jags.
Go
Jags.
out on a
Declan-
limb. What you
Declan-
talking about? You talking all that?
shit,
Go out on a
bro.
limb.
I don't gotta go on a limb. When you go,
Declan, who you got, man? Declan, who you
I
got?
don't gotta go on a limb. I gotta go with the right picks, man.
Declan,
know,
who
man,
you got here?
I want to go out of the limb and say the Dolphins. They looked. I'm not going to. I want to. They looked really good against the Bills. Rick, obviously, we have Dolphin green walls. It only seems fitting to pick them. I can't do it.
Hey,
Gardner
hey,
Minshew,
and wall
two,
colors,
and
Devin.
there was no Gardner Minshew 1. He's not tanking for Trevor Lawrence. This is a big cat league, big cat team. They're winning on Thursday, and Gardner's going to show out, as he has, almost beat the Titans on Sunday. So he's going to do it on Thursday.
All right. So, Coach, we'll take the rest of your picks on Sunday during our kickoff show. If you can make the show, it'd be great. If not, I'll just read them off.
Nah. I want to let the football guys have their football day. I'm not gonna intrigue on it's your party. I'm just an invited guest. I'm just gonna give my picks out. Me and
Nah, pull up.
Pull up because I want your picks on tape just for validation.
Yeah, pull up, man. It's a party. Everybody's invited.
Listen, we have screenshots nowadays. We have screenshots. I can screenshot this picture for everybody to see.
Got apps for this.
Cookie Man in check with rapid fire. We got space for Mac, bro.
I know. Football team, thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining me here, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for the kickoff show. Take care. You're watching, and Mac's going to stick around for the NBA. Let me bring in Falco. You're watching the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans as we transition to our NBA segment.
People know what the NBA do. This is what the NBA does. We just kick down doors and take over segments, man.
Yes, we do. Where's Falco? Falco's too busy fixing his background. Falco, can you see me? We're on live, bro. I don't know what he's doing back there. There he is. Falco, how you doing, sir?
Yo, which club you just came out of? This guy is
Falco,
ready.
can you hear me?
Yeah, baby.
How you doing, man?
What up? Bad day to be Tom Kenny. Just bad day to be Tom Kenny.
Coach just asked you what club did you just come from?
What the hell is he talking about?
He's talking about your shirt.
Listen,
you look like you came out of a club. That's
you're
what
looking
he's
straight. You're looking straight.
No, I do it right. That's why.
Meatpacking district, baby. Meatpacking.
You guys are funny. So last night the Lakers lose to the Denver Nuggets, 2-1 lead. The talk of the town was Anthony Davis and his rebounding. I believe he finished the game with 2 rebounds. Coach, what are your thoughts about Game 4 and the wonderful performance by Jamal Murray to finally get Denver in the series?
I mean, we all knew. I still think the Lakers will win the series, but like I always said, Denver is gonna be there. They're not bowing down to anyone. They're playing loose. They got young players who know that they have a long career ahead of them. So when you're playing with house money, like everyone says, you have no pressure on you. You know, Game 1, throw it up in the air. They just came off of everybody kept saying they could win Game 1 because the Lakers lost the first 2 rounds in Game 1. Well, so did the Denver Nuggets in their first 2-round matchups. They lost Game 1 as well. Game 2, flick of the dime. You know, Mason Plumlee doesn't cheat and gets over that screen and contests an Anthony Davis jump shot. Maybe the series is 2-1. Or maybe if they would have lost Game 2, the Lakers come out more inspired in Game 3, which is what I look for them to do in Game 4. Come out with more inspiration and play harder from the beginning to the end. That second quarter, and this is where I give critique when you have to give it. That second quarter lineup was atrocious for Vogel, what he had out there with LeBron James. That's the lineup that I think cost them the game. that let Denver balloon that lead into 17 points. And I did not agree with that lineup.
Falco, what were your thoughts about Game 4?
They came out
Game
flat,
3. I'm
but
sorry. Game 3. Sorry, Game 3.
Gotta give credit to the Denver Nuggets. They came out firing. I mean, I don't think they could have been hotter through 3 quarters. And basically the third quarter is where they just broke it open. But I definitely want to touch more on the fourth quarter when they were down 20. Rajon Rondo, again, I'm going to apologize. He was sensational on the defensive end. Well, I'll give you that one. That was a bad take. But Rondo's been sensational in terms of the defensive side of the ball. LeBron in transition. But I definitely want to talk to when they did cut it down to 3. LeBron looked gassed, and Anthony Davis looked like he was about to pass out, literally. The thing with LeBron, I have a little flashback. 2017, in the shop, his HBO shop, Paul Rivera was talking about the 2016 finals of Game 7. He asked LeBron and Draymond Green, he said, aren't you guys tired? You guys going down the court 89-89? Aren't you guys tired? LeBron goes, real mofos don't let yourselves get tired. He says, you think you're tired. Maybe you'll put your hands on your knees, but it'll never creep in your mind you're tired. That was the first time I think I can remember that LeBron actually looked tired. He had 13 fourth quarter points, but once it came to 3:30 left, he really looked like he had nothing left. And I think the Lakers really had this game in the bag, and they blew it at the end. Anthony Davis looked like, again, he was going to pass out. But that's something that really stuck to me. LeBron saying that real mofos never let themselves get tired, that's almost something that I took personally in my everyday life, no matter what the circumstances, whether it's lifting, whether it's me playing baseball, playing high school basketball, pickup basketball. When I'm tired, I say, I'm a real one. I'm not going to let myself get tired. I could rest after the game. I was a little disappointed by that. But I guess it does show that LeBron is aging. I've seen him in the past play 48 minutes, 45 minutes. Doesn't look like he broke a sweat. Yesterday, he looked completely gassed.
All right. The pastor's in the building. Pastor Mike Miller, how you doing, sir?
What's up, fellas?
So what were your thoughts about Game 3 as the Denver Nuggets got into the series last night?
Oh, what'd you say? What was my
thoughts about Game 3? About Game 3, about the Nuggets finally getting into the series.
It was an interesting Game 3, and I think right now people have to understand. Stop taking the chicken McNuggets for granted. Like stop disrespecting them. Like at some point we just have to see them for who they are. They are legit, and they are not going to quit. Like so there were probably thoughts like, oh, they're probably going to give up.
Yo, was that Mike? Was that a MC Hammer reference just now? They are legit and they will not quit.
Listen, yo, Mac, the bars are just there. I don't even plan it. They just come out, yo. Like I'm still a rapper at heart, baby. I can't do nothing about that. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where the Lakers are going to have to knock them out. There is no, they're going to be emotionally destroyed and they're going to quit. It's not going to be any of that. Denver is going to continue to play hard.
Oh, my God.
And look, see, he already in here with – can you wait?
So
you fall back sideline. Wait, let me walk.
Oh, my God.
So we have Ray Jarvis in the building from the Gray Area, who's I guess vice president of the Laker Nation Brooklyn division. What were your thoughts on Game 3 last night?
I am the chairman of the Brooklyn division. Don't let nobody tell you different. Sorry, Ed. I see Mikey Bad Takes is back at it again. But if you want to talk about
me too much to be giving me nicknames,
Mikey Bad Takes is back at it again. But
I love you too, Ray. I love you too, man.
Last night, we saw the Denver Nuggets actually fold and the Lakers not complete the run. They folded under that blitz, that defensive blitz by the Lakers. So I don't believe for a second that they don't have the capacity to once again fold when things get tight. If the Lakers decide to actually play a 4-quarter game as opposed to waiting until the fourth quarter, the Lakers would be okay. I fully anticipate and expect a Game 4 victory and a Game 5 closeout. Let's not get carried away. I know Click Media is out there. They talking about, the Lakers in trouble. They coulda, shoulda, woulda. They so stuck on the game-winning shot from Game 2 that they forgot that the Lakers controlled Game 2 and took their foot off the gas. Game 3, they tried to coast through before they started wilding up the Nuggets in the fourth quarter and ran out of gas. The Lakers are fine. The Lakers are fine. I repeat, the Lakers are fine.
All right, moving along to.
Yo, Carl, can I ask a quick
Nah,
question?
we gotta touch that.
We gotta touch that. Hold on. We gotta
Hold on, Mike. I'm gonna need you to just take 2 steps back on your camera, bro. Just 2 steps back if you can.
All right. Yo, we're gonna ask. All I want to ask is a quick question of what Ray just said. So he said in game.
Mike,
bring your camera back more, Mike. Bring your camera back more, bro. You got to fix your headroom.
Also, further back. Oh, all right. My fault.
There you
bro.
go,
There you go. That's good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Ray said in game 2, the Lakers took their foot off the gas. They was in control. Why can't you say that about the Nuggets in game 3? They was up 20 in the fourth quarter. They was smacking them from the second quarter to the fourth. Why you can't just say, well, the Nuggets took their foot off the gas, and then that's why.
Hold on.
I'll answer that. You know,
it's a legit question.
Quick. The reason the way that the Nuggets slowed down, I don't know if it was Vogel, maybe it was, and then I definitely need an apology, or it was LeBron, who knows. But when they went to zone defense, the Nuggets looked lost. That zone defense was perfect. They trapped whoever had the ball, and that's when their Nuggets went cold. They're ripping it from 3 and man-to-man. Once the fourth quarter came, Vogel made an adjustment. Hats off to him. Apologies. I give my apologies that I killed Vogel for. He finally made an adjustment, and that's how the Lakers really got back in the game and started on the defensive side of the ball with Rondo.
Ray, do you agree with what he said?
You can't say that you're apologizing to Vogel because Vogel's been coaching, doing a great job of coaching throughout the playoffs. This wasn't his first adjustment. In each and every series, there have been little tweaks. There's been little personnel moves that people don't talk about. Unless in certain scenarios, if the talking heads don't tell you to look for it, you don't even notice it. The Lakers do a lot of mixing and matching with their personnel, so that it's not as simple as just switching. It's about where do you place Anthony Davis? What player do you place him on so that when a switch happens, he can rotate easily? This is what's been happening with the Lakers. The Lakers last night, to Michael's question, Mikey Bad Takes, the difference is you had one team that actually went on a defensive rush. The other teams made shots, and the Lakers stopped defending. In a half-court offense, LeBron was pounding the ball in game 2. They weren't actually running any actions. It was a bad look. Then you look at game 3. Denver didn't take their foot off the gas. When it was up 20 after my man punched it, Murray, the Lakers decided, we're going to attack these guys. And they folded. It wasn't like they folded instantly, but with each possession, they realized that the passing lanes were clogged. Rondo was trapping. Admittedly, he got away with a couple of fouls. They didn't know what to do with that. Frankly, they didn't know what to do with it the entire fourth quarter. There were a few keynote possessions to where there was a missed alley-oop by Kuz. There was a couple of times where LeBron came up the floor. AD was gassed, and instead of AD just getting himself in the post, he kind of took himself out of the play. The Lakers did not complete the run. That is the difference here. If the Lakers completed the run, it's 3-0 right now. We're having a totally different discussion. So I'm not going to allow Click Media to act as though the Lakers are in trouble or the people who are in the bushes who need the Lakers to be in trouble to boost up yet again. We've lost 3 times, and every time the Lakers lose, it's the end of the world. Knock it off. I'm not buying it anymore.
Well, Ray, unfortunately, you know what, Ray? Ray, unfortunately, you used the word that we don't use on the Sports Hit List.
I don't give a damn.
We don't use
that word. I use that word every day.
We don't use that word around here in the streets.
You don't use that word.
But moving on to the Eastern Conference, Coach, what are your thoughts? Miami's up 2-1. We saw the Celtics were able to finally break through the zone in Game 3. What are you looking for for Game 4 tonight?
Funny you mentioned zone and adjustments, and that's what I expect. I don't expect Denver to be stifled by the zone per se. I'm not saying they won't be stifled, but I don't think the zone next game is what's going to cost them if the Lakers, and what I think the Lakers are going to have a good showing. But to the Eastern Conference, I truly believe tonight we will see 2-2. I got the Celtics winning. I think the Celtics are the better team. I think the Celtics should have been up. You say don't use ifs, but I think they should have been up.
Go ahead, Carl.
They should have been up 3-0. I mean, they could have easily been up 3-0 to me. I think they have seen some little tweaks. I said it on this show. Kemba Walker resurgence will happen. I said it, and it has happened. And if he's playing the way he's playing with those Jaylen Brown and with Jason Tatum, I just don't see the Celtics losing in a 7-game series. Hayward, what he does against the zone is he's 6'9". He can pass over the zone. He can hit mid-range jump shots, and he's always, since college at Butler, been a great distributor, and he plays with a lot of patience, and that's what you need against the zone. Jason Tatum doesn't have that kind of patience. Brown doesn't have that patience, but Hayward has that patience at 6'9", and he allows them to do different things against the zone, which we saw last game. I expect the Celtics to do no different tonight. I have them winning tonight, evening up the series 2-2.
Mike, do you agree with Coach Womack's breakdown for Game 4 for tonight?
Absolutely. That's why he's the coach. It's phenomenal. and just to buffer that point a little bit, that what Gordon Hayward presents now is he gives them their closing lineup. So they play those four. They play their 3 stars, Gordon Hayward and Marcus Smart, and now they can switch everything. You can put Jaylen Brown to guard Bam, and so that was causing the Heat a lot of problems. So I think that as Max said, that's the better team, and so I think they figured some stuff out. Brad Stevenson's found ways to attack the zone by penetrating more and telling them just to attack Duncan Robinson a lot more because he's shooting threes and they're going to make him play defense now. And so I think Brad Stevens did make the adjustments that he needed to make. So to everything Coach said, the Celtics are the better team. I look for them to even up tonight.
Falco, do you agree with the panel?
100%. Just to piggyback off that, I thought the Celtics are the better team. I thought the Celtics were going to get out to an early lead, maybe be up 2-1, even 3-0, which they had the lead in each of the 3 games by 14 or more points. The Heat, they're always in the game because of 3 dudes who shoot the lights out. Duncan Robinson, I mean, he touches the ball goes out, the ball goes in. Tyler Hero, same thing. Lights out from 3. And a lot of people are sleeping on Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder has been automatic. With those 3 guys shooting the lights out, you can never count the Heat, no matter how big the deficit is. That's why the Heat are in this game. I'm not hopping off the bandwagon, though. Celtics in 7.
Ray, what are your thoughts on Game 4 tonight?
You hate to see 3 guys in this panel be so wrong, boy. Jesus Christ. But the Miami Heat are going up 3-1 tonight. They're not going to shoot as badly as they did in certain segments of the game in Game 3. The Celtics have continuously shown that they have problems retaining leads. I'm sorry, Carl. Don't expect to be up 20 or 15-20 so you can have a buffer before you blow the lead. It's not happening. The Heat will shoot better. And we're talking about adjustments in Brad. Spo's on the other side, one of the best coaches in the NBA, and he has adjustments for the adjustments. He will win by 5+ tonight. 3-1. Pack it up, Celtics.
It's okay. You're just afraid of the Celtics in the finals against the
Lakers. I don't care about the Celtics. I've been telling y'all about the Heat all playoffs. Stop. Don't do that, Carl.
It's okay. It's okay, bro. It's okay, man.
I've been telling y'all about the Heat, Carl.
It's okay. It's okay, bro.
I want to hear you say it.
It's okay, bro.
I've been telling y'all about the Heat.
It's okay. I don't recall. I don't recall. But let's move to the topic of last week. LeBron in his presser saying he was pissed off about the MVP voting. We have that, and we also have Brandon Falco saying that the MVP award itself is overrated. Mike, what are your thoughts about LeBron's comments and about how he's not upset about Giannis winning? He just doesn't like the voting system, and he believes people don't watch basketball. What are your thoughts about that?
First of so many, I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to try not to do too much. But Carl, when I just saw the little clip of him just saying what his position on the MVP, I was like, LeBron, you a crybaby. Then I saw the larger clip of him bringing up 2012 and his Defensive Player of the Year award. Then he talked about Devontae Graham not getting. I said, well, hold on, bro. First of all, Brandon, you bugging. There's no way you telling me being the best player for 6 months, it means nothing. But that's number one. We put that to the side. First of all, I don't agree that LeBron only is mad that he didn't get more second place votes. You ain't never heard nobody in their life say, yo, man, I wish I was second place higher. No, he lost. And so the reason he's mad because he lost, and what it was key what LeBron said. He said, are we watching basketball or narratives? LeBron, the reason you were second place was a narrative. The narrative was, oh, nobody in their 17th year can play this good. He's in the Western Conference. He was in the East and dominated. He had a narrative too. Every year in the MVP, there is a narrative for each player. These people watching, they're watching all of the games. They're digesting everything. And just to be clear, he does not have an argument over Giannis. Not one. Giannis had individual stats better. Giannis had a better team than him. Giannis didn't have a dude averaging 27. Like, there's no argument. To be real, I thought it was disrespectful that Giannis wasn't unanimous.
Oh, Ray Jarvis, what do you think about this whole LeBron saying the voting system for the MVP award? What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, I find it laughable that Falco says that it's overrated. When we had our debate about LeBron and Kobe, you brought up his MVP awards as a part of his resume.
I brought up a million things.
No. You got to be quiet now, Falco.
Don't do that. I can't understand what you're talking about right now, bro.
No, you can't either. You can't either.
I'm just saying, All I'm saying is, Brandon, all I'm saying is don't bring it up if it's overrated, okay? You're undercutting
That
yourself.
was one of the many, but that was in my main point.
But to Carl's question, at this point in LeBron's career and me being a spectator of LeBron, that man just be talking. And it's like sometimes he just says stuff and it's just like, bro, like if Bron was my man, like he'd be the dude that we tell to shut up half the time because he's just talking like, bro, we know what it is already. You was never getting MVP. Why do you care about second place votes? Shut up, bro. Go buy a drink. Meet us by the bar. Stop
we
talking.
know.
I'm tired of LeBron talking. He's just a talker.
Okay, Coach, what are your thoughts here about the MVP and LeBron's comments? Do you have any inside tips on that?
Listen, man. First and foremost, Brandon, I know you said you debate Mike, and I will never debate this because it's not a topic I want to debate. I'll watch somebody debate this. But clearly, it means something. If one of the greatest players of all time is sitting down during his Western Conference Finals interview presser, when he said he was going to use this entire time to talk about... What did I say?
I said
let me
finish. It may not mean nothing to you. Who are you to say it means something to you? Of course it don't mean nothing to you. It means something to the guys playing and their legacies and when they retire. So don't say regular season doesn't mean... Maybe not to you and what you want to debate, but it means something because players kill for that. They talk about it till they're 50 years old, 60 years old. They sit
Shaq is still upset about losing in 06.
Come on.
Exactly. About it, man.
What we gotta recognize here is that Brandon is using this angle because it's convenient. I respect the game.
We know that. We know that.
Bro.
Why do you think LeBron is mad? Matt, tell him who LeBron is.
Let me finish. Now, let me finish. Can I finish now? Let me finish now. So why LeBron decided to talk about this now. And you gotta decipher LeBron's comments because like Ray said, he does talk a lot, but he doesn't just talk to talk. Everything he says is a knife stabbing at something that's been in the back of his mind. The reason why he brought up 2012 is because there's something that LeBron doesn't have that Jordan has. It was a perfect escape for Giannis because the conversation wasn't about Giannis' Defensive Player of the Year. How did we get to that when we were talking about his MVP?
Exactly.
LeBron brought that in because he knows he has 2 years left at this rate to be one of the best in the world. And his window's closing, and he's looking at those lists. Championships, he gets another one, he's closer. MVP would have made him closer. Now, the next topic, boy, oh boy. If the Lakers win, which I have them winning, and he doesn't get finals MVP, that's the next blow-up that we're going to see from a lot of the LeBronians. Chapter 3, verse 16.
And Coach,
they're going to go crazy.
Coach, let's just be clear. LeBron, to Coach's point, everything he does is with precision. Even this season, he was trying to win MVP because to Coach's point, it is about the list. It's not about anything Brandon is talking about because Brandon knows better. We see you, family.
I do know better.
LeBron measures every maneuver of his career. Since he left Miami and got back to Cleveland, everything has been precision. So we're not going to say anything is overrated because we know better. Ask Bron. He know.
Go, Falco, to the front of the congregation. Make your case that the MVP award is overrated.
I'm saving that for you because I'm going to cook you like I do my chip while I want my chicken tonight.
Sure thing.
Anyway, I don't care what LeBron is saying about the MVP award or that like they care about it because when we're defining legacies, you know who defines legacies and where we rank? It's us, fans and media. That's who's ranking. So I don't care how much it means to them at the end of the day. But I want to address the regular season MVP being overrated another time. But in terms of 2013, the Defensive Player of the Year, he actually had a case for that because Marc Gasol were second all defense. But
hold on, time out, Brandon. You gotta go do your history. Wait. No, wait. I got it. Interrupt you when you say garbage. You gotta say because I gotta school you. In 2013, you wasn't probably watching the NBA, so you don't even know who voted. Right, so who voted for him to win?
8 years ago, he was 13.
Wait. Who voted for Marc Gasol to be second team all defense? And who voted for Defensive Player of the Year in 2012?
The media?
No, the players voted in that time. They changed that vote. See, you don't know your history. The players voted for the team. The media voted for the defensive player.
Let me walk off too.
You come talk to the coach. You got to come correct.
Wait. So hold on. So we're taking that. All right,
Carl, we told you. Stop bringing Luke. Brandon, I love you, but you gotta stop it.
No, let Brandon, let him get back. Let him get back in it. I want to see.
Well, I guess if we're going to take the players seriously, because we know they have each other on their agendas, first of all.
But that's my whole point.
That's the point.
These awards are overrated. The regular season awards are overrated. That's one of my many reasons. They're overrated. People have each other on their own agendas. Stop it. And LeBron making his case against Giannis, no, he didn't have a case. He did not deserve MVP. I honestly don't believe he should have even been second in the MVP. If he was fourth in MVP, I would have agreed with that more. Between what Harden did in terms of his scoring with 34 points a game, and Luka Doncic was sensational.
Man, this whole argument he has is such a slippery slope. That's a whole. I don't. Carl has a show to do, but this is a slippery slope, bro.
Yeah,
When we talk about who's supposed to be second place, and come on, man. Yo, Carl, this is the new. Yo, Carl, I told you this years ago. This is the new world we're in with LeBron. World. Second place is all that matters now. We don't care about
that. What are you talking about?
Second place.
Go ahead, Coach. Coach, go ahead. What's up?
So what award matters to you, Brandon Falco?
I already know. The Finals MVP. That's it.
No.
Go for 2 weeks.
I want to hear
what I
award
believe means more to a player's legacy than the regular season MVP. In an individual's body of work in the postseason, as well as the Finals and Finals MVP.
I just asked you. So the Finals MVP.
Finals MVP.
More to you.
That and your individual body of work in the playoffs.
Okay. So the Finals MVP is voted on by the same media who votes on the season MVP.
Good night. Good night.
Where's the
media
behind the regular season MVP award?
There's a narrative in the finals.
But it's not the media.
But wait a minute. Hold on, Falco. But let me bring something else up. Steph Curry has 2 MVPs, but no Finals MVPs. So where's his legacy then? His legacy is nowhere.
Why do you think Zeke is better than him, though? Why is Zeke better than Steph Curry, according to Carl Kalange?
Carl don't think
that's a debate.
That's a debate because his legacy's not done yet. Zeke's legacy's not over yet, though. That's not a debate, but it's not a debate, though. So what? But so what? I'm going by what you said, Falco. You said again, Steph Curry has 0 Finals MVPs and he needs to define his legacy. So what are you saying?
His narrative is he chokes in big moments.
The narrative. You just said there was no narrative.
The big shot.
It's not true.
You just said there's no narrative, though. It's not true.
He's over 8.
Not true, bro.
In under 10 seconds in a postseason game.
Hold on. Can I give you a stat? They gave one yesterday. Can I give you a stat? They gave one yesterday. They said Jamal Murray's clutch time points. Skip Bayless said it today. Jamal Murray's clutch time points, he has 8 of them. It's tied for second. You know who number 1 is? Stephen Curry. He did it in 2016. So this idea that Stephen Curry isn't clutch in the postseason is a lie.
No,
but number 1,
it happened.
No. I just gave you a stat. Hold on. Brandon, you said that in the regular season they have narratives. In the postseason, they don't have narratives. They have narratives gave us a narrative of Stephen Curry in the postseason.
Ray was actually right about LeBron. No, wait, that was you, Mike, who said LeBron had the narrative of the 17th season. That's actually why LeBron actually had some first place.
Yeah, it was a narrative. There's always a narrative.
I believe
always a narrative, bro.
There's always a narrative.
Hold on. This is my point.
It's a reality show. It's a narrative.
Yeah, let him
hold on. Wait, hold on.
Brother.
To date, from October 17, 2019 till today, September 22nd, 2020. Who's had a better season, LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo?
We know it's Giannis.
What are you saying? Are you kidding me? What is Giannis in the Heat series? Are you kidding me? What?
Oh, you talking about from now? It's a regular season award.
Oh,
not from now to the playoffs.
Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about?
Why
it's not from now to the playoffs.
What?
It's from now to the regular season.
I said October. Listen, October 17th, 2019, up until today, September 22nd, 2020. Who's had the better season?
You know what a regular season award is.
I didn't say that. I said the totality award, which includes the postseason. Are you kidding me?
Breathe, bro.
Are you serious?
Oh man.
Take a breather.
Hold on.
Ask the question.
I'm saying. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
No totality.
I hear you. But what I'm saying is, if we're talking about a regular season award, we can't fold the playoffs.
I'm not saying that. I believe that instead of an MVP, or if there is an MVP award, we should all do most outstanding.
You know what I believe?
That goes
That's
to
fair.
college.
Brandon,
That's
you know
an
what I
NBA
believe?
issue.
This
We
is
can only deal with what we
Hold
got.
on, Carl. Can I
Thank you. My man,
say what I believe?
Done.
we don't
This
have
is-
that.
For over half the
He's
teams
saying
make
what he
the playoffs.
believes. I want to say
16
what I
out of
believe.
30 teams make the
Right.
playoffs,
That's amazing.
and we don't account
I
anything.
want to
for
say,
Everybody
I
give
want
their
to say
beliefs.
what I
So
believe.
listen, look.
I wanna
LeBron
say
is
what
the
I
best.
believe,
Brandon,
Ray.
is that
Real
okay?
quick, Ray.
LeBron's the best.
Real quick, Ray. Let me say what I believe.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Coach. Final thoughts here. Final thoughts, because I got one more segment on deck. Go ahead,
I
Coach.
believe
Oh
the
man.
children are our future.
Man.
Teach them well.
Well,
and let them
it lead the
That's
way.
the best.
Come on. Mr. Randy Watson. Mr. Randy Watson.
Give it up for Brandon Falco.
Yo, I want
Yo, chocolate.
Hold on. After the
Good and terrible.
Listen,
Good and terrible.
after the finals,
That was
after the
good.
finals, I want to debate someone
was
debate
good.
that the regular season is overrated. I
Oh
want to debate
man.
the regular season.
So,
One-on-one.
so Brandon, what are you gonna do when AD gets Finals MVP?
Oh man.
He's gonna jump off the
Best player
freaking
on-
Verrazano Bridge. That's what he's gonna do.
That's actually a real possibility, and it will. The championship would not impact LeBron's legacy the way it would if he has Finals MVP.
So what are you
Oh, man.
hoping for? What are you hoping for?
Who are you hoping for?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yo, I respect it. I respect it.
Carl
I
tearing
respect
up over there.
Oh my
I
God. I
respect
can't.
it.
I can't. Yo. I
respect it,
can't.
I respect
All right,
it.
guys,
You know
guys,
what-
guys.
You know what he want?
Guys, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the NBA Finals. We'll do a post game after
Thought
every
you had one
game.
more question.
Let's go
No.
Heat.
Listen,
Let's go Heat.
Yo,
let
my
me tell
man
you
said
something
Let's
let's
real
go
quick.
Heat.
So let me tell the
Nah.
fans something real quick that Greg Poley has developed. Shout out to him. We're gonna start going lives with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter for the NBA Finals. So break down the games while we're watching for the fans.
I like that.
Special shout out to Greg Poley.
That's gonna expose
Okay,
a lot of people.
Put your
Yeah.
producer hat on.
Yeah, yep. That's
That's gonna be fire.
Greg. That's gonna be fire. So
Yo,
definitely
after
gonna
the
be fun.
finals,
It's not gonna
I
be
want
safe.
someone against me one-on-one. The regular season MVP is overrated.
you're fine,
Brandon,
bro.
do you
All right,
want
you're
the
good.
smoke, Brandon? Do you want the smoke? 'Cause I don't come out the house.
You're
for a
like
lot of
you're
people.
blue.
I
No,
don't come out.
come out, Mac.
I won't
He
come
wants you
out
to
the
come
house.
outside. He wants you to come
Okay.
outside.
All right, Brandon's gonna stick around for his debate against Tom Kenny. Guys, I'll see you soon. And go Celtics. Sorry, Ray.
Let's
Yo,
go.
Arrest the guys that kill Breonna Taylor. We need justice, baby. We need justice.
All right. See you guys later, Mike. Take care. All right. Let me bring in Tom Kenny for our final debate. That was a little spicy. That was really good. Brandon, I'm going to give you some time to cool down. You need a drink of water. You're okay?
It's hot.
You need to drink of water. TK the Tank. I don't know if you just watched that last debate, but it got Brandon really hot to the point where he thought he was going to throw something at the camera, and I'm physically in tears. It was probably one of the greatest segments we've had here on the Hit List Live.
No, that's what I bring to the table. That's what I bring to the table. It's
Yeah,
always-
it was definitely entertainment. Special shout out to the fans for watching that. That's some good stuff I have to pull later on that we're gonna make.
That's
fun of
unfortunate. I was waiting here.
But today we're here to talk about pitching in baseball. Which is more important, starting pitching or closing pitching? This debate kind of sprung up based upon our Mount Rushmore series, closing pitcher. So we thought we would bring this to the front of the congregation. From the comments that I read, it seems like everyone's in favor of Tom Kenny winning this debate by a landslide. But Falco's here to prove to us that closing pitcher is more important than the starting pitcher. So Falco, the floor is yours. Make your case.
I want to touch on the roles of the positions because the casuals don't understand because they say, "Oh, basic math: 6 innings to 7 innings versus 1 inning." Right? I want to like actually talk about the roles before I get into any details of it. A starting pitcher, you have your role, you have your set date. You're going to start every single game, right? You have your pregame ritual, you have your lifting program, your throwing program, your running program, and in the very first inning, it's two different different outs you're getting. When you're getting outs, when you're starting versus ninth inning, the ninth inning is 3 different outs that are different in any other game, right? So the starting pitching, you could make a mistake, you could take time to settle in. You could have a scrappy first inning, go down 3-0, give up a 3-run shot, and your team still has a fighting chance. If you really wet the bed, you got guys behind you in the bullpen, right? Now I want to talk about the closing role. Closing role is mentally draining, and I believe it's the most difficult role in sports next to quarterback. If you want to say a quarterback is tougher, I'm totally with that. But I think closing pitcher is right there next to it. Closing pitchers don't know when they're throwing. They don't have a routine, and they're expected to be robots and be flawless. When you enter the game in the 9th inning, you make one mistake. Your team loses, and it's all on you. You get all the blame, right? Other guys, there's a reason why closers don't last very long or their primes are super short. We see guys like Edwin Diaz. Look at him now and versus what he was in 2018, I believe, with Seattle. We had 58 saves, 1.5 ERA, right? Other guys can't sustain that because of how mentally draining it is. You're basically relied to throw every single day. We see teams collapse because when your closer goes 2 days in a row and you need that third day, you don't have a closer. That's when it lights up. We've seen teams like the Yankees. I remember in 2017, Aroldis Chapman couldn't find the strike zone. He couldn't close, so Dellin Betances had to take over. We see Dellin Betances being a top 5 talent of a relief pitcher in the MLB, right? But when he goes to the ninth inning, he's erratic. He doesn't have control. He can't close out games. It's a different mental stage being a closer than a starting pitcher. That's why I believe it's more difficult and also more important. When we look at the postseason or any great teams, we see like the Astros when Ken Giles lost it. That's when the Astros were basically exposed. Justin Verlander having historic runs, Garrett Cole, same thing. But their bullpen sometimes lights it up, and that's when they got exposed. If you can't have a guy who you can rely on to get the 3 outs, which there's not many closers in the MLB. People will say, oh, there's 30 closers in the MLB. No, there's not. There's probably about 10 to 15 that you could count on. We've seen Craig Kimbrell being, he may catch Mariano's record. No, he lost it. K-Rod, he was the strikeout machine, and then he lost it. Now we see Edwin Diaz, the same thing. Tom Kenny's a Mets fan, right? Last year, why did the Mets not make the playoffs? One reason. His name is Edwin Diaz. A 5.5 ERA as a closer and all-time record of ninth-inning home runs, 14. The Mets had 31 ninth-inning, allowed 31 home runs in the ninth inning. If you can't close games, you can't be successful. And this is not to say that the starting pitching is not important or it's like not important at all and you could just run a bullpen or a closer. You need both to win a championship. And I'm a believer pitching, starting pitching, bullpen, and closer is more important than hitting. But if I had to pick the two, starting or closing, a closer is more important because they're harder to find.
TK, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so we're debating here what's more important, and it's an easy answer. It's starting pitching. Now, of course, closing is important, and if you have a closer, that's a great addition to your team. That's like football. That's like having a great tight end. But that doesn't equate to wins. And the way you want to look at this is really it all boils down to follow the money, Carl. We got to follow the money here. Now, who gets paid the most in baseball? Starting pitchers. Starting pitchers. We have 7. Brendan, bro, I let you talk. Have some respect. Starting pitching. The top 10 salaries in MLB are starting pitchers. And then outside of that, you have Mike Trout and Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera, but it's all starting pitchers. You look at Mariano Rivera, the best closer of all time. No one's going to argue that. His top salary from 2010 to about 2013, I believe, was $15 million. That's the most money he ever made. Now, Kevin Brown, a starting pitcher, was getting paid $15 million in 1999 to pitch for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You follow the money and you see the importance. They're going to pay these starting pitchers, and they're going to pay them for longer. They're going to give them long contracts because they know how important it is to their team and how important it is to being successful to have those starting pitchers on their team. So they will pay them longer and for more money. Mariano Rivera never had longer than a 4-season contract, which was from 2001 to 2004. Every other year, he signed single-season contracts because, like Brendan said, the closer position is so volatile that you could see a guy go from an expert closer and then blow up and be terrible like Edwin Diaz. So, therefore, how is that the most important position if it's the most risky? You don't want to take a unsafe bet. You'd rather the sure bet of a guy like Jacob deGrom, Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole. You want a guy that's going to go out there and pitch for you. Speaking of Garrett Cole, he is making $36 million a season this season for the Yankees. He is making the most money in the MLB, more than Mike Trout, more than anyone else, because starting pitching equates to wins. If we look at World Series champions just from the past couple of years, who was the Nationals closer last year? It was Sean Doolittle. He had an ERA over 5. They didn't have a closer. They still won the World Series. You look at all the World Series champions for the past 6 years, going back to 2014 with the Giants, every single staff except for the Kansas City Royals had a Cy Young Award winner on their staff because pitching is important. You build around your starting pitching, and then everything else falls into place. The bullpen will fall into place. That's why you can see a guy like a Dennis Eckersley, a Mariano Rivera, people like that start out as starting pitchers, or even a guy that's not even well known like that. Like, I just had his name. He was on the Mets a couple years ago. I'm forgetting his name. Doesn't matter. But we'll just use
Familia.
No, not Familia. It was Rafael Montero. Rafael Montero.
Okay.
He was with the Mets, got cut, didn't play for a whole year. Now he's coming out of the bullpen and finding success. He's not a closer, but he's still coming out of the bullpen to find success. Because starting pitchers, if you can't cut it there, they will give you a chance in the bullpen. That's what they did with Mariano Rivera, and he found his success in the bullpen because he couldn't cut it as a starting pitcher. Because starting pitching is the most important place. You never see someone not cut it as a closer and then them have the manager or have the coach say, "Hey, let's put him in the starting pitcher's role. That's not important. Maybe you can find success there as a fifth starter." That doesn't happen. You see a guy like John Smoltz get injured and miss a whole season. He came back, and for 3 years he was a closer, and he was so damn good at it. He's a Hall of Famer. They finally said, "You know what? You go back into starting pitching," and he had an excellent Hall of Fame career. Therefore, if you look at the money and you look at the way teams build around players, there's no argument that starting pitching is the most important. You cannot win without starting pitching. Starting pitching and defense wins championships.
So, Falco, what are your thoughts on TK's argument about the money?
I don't care about money. I want to talk about actually baseball and actually winning games. He said, wait, hold on. According to Tom Kenny, starting pitching relates to wins, not pitching, starting pitching. I'm totally with you on pitching, period. Like both the starting pitching, bullpen, and closer relates to wins. But Jacob deGrom in 2018, why was he the Cy Young winner when he went 10-9? I thought starting pitching relates to winning, right? What happened?
It does. He won most of the games that he didn't have a lot of losses. He still won. There was a lot of no decisions. He was giving up like 1-2 runs. His offense wasn't coming through for him. But starting pitching is still the most important. Why did Jacob deGrom get paid?
Whoa. Finish the sentence.
Why did Jacob deGrom get paid?
Because he's the best pitcher in the MLB?
Yeah, because he's important.
Wait, why aren't you finishing the sentence? You said the Mets couldn't hit, and who was in the ninth inning? Who couldn't close out games?
That has nothing to do with it.
What are you talking about?
That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with the importance of a position. That has nothing. What the Mets did last year has nothing to do with the importance of position. The fact is, Jacob deGrom is a great pitcher, so they gave him the big contract.
He deserves it. I'm with you. He's the best pitcher in the MLB.
Because he's the centerpiece of the team. Edwin Diaz is not the centerpiece of the team. If Edwin Diaz was the centerpiece of the team, he'd have a more important role. Edwin Diaz's ERA right now is under 2, and he's still not the closer because you know what? He's not good at being the closer. Okay, we'll put him in the bullpen. He's still got an ERA under 2. He's still contributing. Jacob deGrom is the center of the Mets team. He is the most important player on that field.
Why is his starts not correlating to wins when a certain someone in the back of that bullpen is not closing out games? And before it was Edwin Diaz, it was Juris Familia, who was just as bad, just as erratic.
It doesn't matter because if Jacob deGrom doesn't get them to the ninth inning, what does it matter? He holds down the team. He allows 1 run, 2 runs, maybe less. And then if the bullpen blows it, that is terrible. That is terrible. But that happens in baseball. That's why you see in the World Series in 2001, they brought Randy Johnson in to close Game 7. And you saw with the Giants in 2014, they brought in Madison Bumgarner because the starting pitcher is where you put your money because it's your best pitcher. It's the most important position on the field. So they'll bring in their best pitcher, who is undoubtedly their starting pitcher, to close the game because they need a good pitcher. And that's what they're building around.
It's not core. But certain if your bullpen's not closing it, it's not correlating to wins. Jacob deGrom's performances weren't correlating to wins. Yes, because of the offense and because they didn't have someone to get the last 3 outs in the ninth inning. The last 3 outs in the ninth inning are different than any other outs in baseball. The at-bats are different. The approach is different. The crowd energy is different. The bench energy is different. It's not easy to just find a guy, and it doesn't mean you can have talent, a guy who can throw 98 plus and have a sick breaking ball and be a closer. That's why Del Betances can't be a closer. As talented as he is, he mentally can't do it. And more of my argument is that it's just a more difficult role to not only find a closer, but to maintain a closer and actually get those last 3 outs of the ninth inning. Because the championship teams are finding a guy who could get the last 3 outs of a big game. That's why the Padres struggled, because Trevor Hoffman couldn't get the last big 3 outs as well.
Trevor Hoffman did it 601 times
in the regular season.
And he never won a title.
Yeah.
They got swept in the World Series with one of the best closers to ever live. They still got swept.
Yeah, and
well, was he important?
And the whole the whole narrative in 2004 was Mariano blew it. It's all on Mariano because in game 4, I believe, that's where the whole rally started. That he let up that the stolen base from David Robertson, and that's where the chaos began, and that's why the Yankees lost. It's all Mariano. There's so much pressure and the amount of pressure to get those last 3 outs. And it's
so Falco.
Why did Mariano never get paid?
Okay, guys, real quick. I have a question from the congregation. Falco, who would you rather have in the playoffs, Chapman or deGrom?
deGrom because he's better at he's better at his role than Chapman is at his role. That's why. If you want to make the question Mariano Rivera versus Jacob deGrom, I'm taking Mariano.
Why?
That's not the question I asked you, though. That's not. You can't change the question. That's not what I asked you. You can't change the question.
Because you're asking the best pitcher in the MLB versus a good closer who's proven to be inconsistent. Which a huge reason why the Cubs won the World Series in 2016 was Aroldis Chapman, where they absolutely abused him and they ended up winning the World Series. Even though
they got lucky. He pitched that Game 7. He pitched like crap.
Exactly. And that's what actually let the Indians back in the game. They overused them. You're relied to come in the game basically every single day. And the days where your closer is not available, that's where you lose games. You see with the Yankees all the time. When Chapman wasn't available, they tried to give it to Britton or they tried to give it to Betances, and everything blows up. If you don't have a guy to get those last 3 outs in the ninth inning, you're going to have a very difficult time winning. And that's the sole reason why the Mets didn't make the playoffs last year. The Mets had a pretty decent team. Yeah, their offense struggled, of course. Their starting pitching was loaded, but Edwin Diaz was a disaster. 31 home runs in the ninth inning last year. How are you expected to make the playoffs like that?
Okay, guys, final thoughts here as we wrap up the show. TK, final thoughts with this debate about the importance.
Final thoughts. It's easy, Carl. It's easy. I laid it out. It's all about the money. You can look at football. You might have a Rob Gronkowski or a Tony Gonzalez on your team. You might have a great asset like that, a tight end, which is kind of like the closer. You might have a guy that could really go out there and help you, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to win unless you have the quarterback there. Tony Gonzalez never won a title because he never played with Tom Brady. Same thing goes with baseball. You need to pay your most important players, and they do pay their most important players. 7 out of the top 10 salaries are starting pitchers because they are what you build your team around. If you have a solid starting pitcher, you will win championships. Look at everyone who has won championships in the past. They might not have had the best closer, but they definitely had starting pitching, because starting pitching, without a doubt, is more important than closing, because you cannot get to the ninth inning unless you are winning for those first 8 innings, where the starting pitcher is probably pitching 2/3 of that, or maybe even all 8 if he's going long here. Then you get to the closer position, then you can have those last 3 outs, but you don't get to get those last 3 outs unless you have someone at the beginning getting you there, like Jacob deGrom last year would get the Mets there, and then they would blow it. Still, they would never have gotten there without Jacob deGrom. If you throw out a guy there who's got 5.5 ERA, it doesn't matter who your closer is, because that guy's going to lose 16 to 17 games all by himself, and you won't be in a playoff race.
Falco, final thoughts?
My main argument is that it's more difficult, which I said, but I still also think it's more important. Given that a closer, you never know when you're coming in. You're chilling all game, and all of a sudden the phone calls up, get hot. Then it's like, oh, you don't need him right now. Sit back down. Then it's get hot again. You're up and down, and then you're supposed to come in, and sometimes you're coming in the 8th inning to get a 4-out save, runners on base, expected to hold guys on, and you have to be flawless as a closer. There's no room for error. One bad pitch, not only a game could be blown, but in the postseason, your season can be over. A starting pitcher has their own routine. They could settle in. They could make mistakes. They could let up runs. They could let up home runs, and you could always get bailed out, because not only you guys have behind you, you got a lineup to help you out as well. A closer does not have anyone behind you. It's all on you. The pressure's all on you, and if you blow the game, it's all on you. You get all the blame. And if you save the game, it's basically that was your job to do. I think it's just so much more difficult, and as well, it's more important because it's not easy to find a guy you could rely on to get those last 3 outs and ninth inning. Given you got to be flawless. Starting pitcher's got room for error.
Well, there's only one man in the field, and I think is the closer. He has no one behind him.
Well, someone else just made another comment. Falco, based off the comments, doesn't seem like you're winning here. Someone said, what's the point of a closer when the starting pitcher is pitching a shutout?
To close out the game? Because they're not always getting to the ninth inning. You can't finish a game without a closer getting the last 3 outs. How many
a pitcher could pitch a perfect game, though. A starter could pitch a whole game. And
how many perfect games?
I saw David Cone do it when I was a kid.
23. There's been about 23 perfect games in MLB history.
But that means it's still been done, though, without having a closer come in.
I mean, we even have no hitters. There's been a ton of those.
We have no hitters, too, though.
You need a guy you can rely on to get the last 3 outs of the game. My main argument is that I just believe it's more difficult. That was my main argument. That's why I want to do this segment. I've wanted to do this for a while. I believe it's a more difficult role than starting.
So that means you're agreeing with Tom Kenny to close it out?
No. No.
Are you agreeing that's the most important? Is that what you're saying?
My main point is it's a more difficult role. That's why.
How could that be your main point if the question is more important, though? I'm just trying to understand.
Because you guys didn't agree to change it. I wanted to.
Why did you want to change it?
What?
You were so confident last week, though.
That's what I was trying to get, but I was rudely interrupted by you on the closer segment.
Listen, there's no rudely interrupt. We're the debate show. This is what we do. Like, we do this, man. There's no
The thing
I gotta
is,
get your
you want
point
to talk
across.
importance?
Like,
You want to
this
talk
is what we
importance and
do.
difficulty? Important to difficulty. I think it's more difficult to face a lineup the third time around when they've seen you throw your best stuff and your arm is thrown 85 pitches than it is to come out and get the last 3 outs. You're already leading when the closer comes in. Yes, you need some mental toughness, but you're throwing at 100% the last 3 innings. Guys that didn't get to watch you all game, I think it's pretty difficult to get through that lineup the third time around. Brendan, you're a pitcher. Wouldn't you agree to that? That it's tough to get through the lineup the third time around?
Well, I've done both, and no, because when I start, I get settled into a groove, and once I get moving, it's a wrap. The last 3 outs of the 9th inning. One, I don't know when I'm coming in or what scenario I'm getting. I don't know how much I have time to.
Probably coming in the 9th inning.
When I get in the game for the last 3 outs, the approach is different by each hitter. The umpires call the game differently. The bench energy is different. The crowd energy is different. If you're going to tell me with a straight face that the approach of every hitter in the 9th inning is the same thing as innings 1 through 8, you're sleeping at the wheel.
All right, guys, that'll do it for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This has been one of the most entertaining hour and 20 minutes of my lifetime. I legit started crying when he broke with Falco. I don't know what I'm going to do with you, man. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it was definitely entertaining. Thank you for all the fans who tuned in. Special shout out to the Sports Hit List group. We couldn't get through this live without you guys in the comments and pulling up, so I definitely appreciate it. Make sure you tuned in on Sundays at 12:30 to kick off your NFL. We got week 3 coming up. We're going to start doing some lives with the NBA Finals looming. Please make sure you guys are staying safe and practice social distancing. Falco, throw a quick shout out to your podcast where anyone can find it.
The Falco Takeaway, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, providing sports content just about every single day. Anyone who ever wants to come on to the debate, always welcome. I bring the heat. Thank you.
All right, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll see you guys. Let's start building for next week's. I'm going to be on the chat talking to you guys about what topics can we talk about. This was definitely a fun one. You guys make sure you stay safe. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.